Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 in my little series of how to design a spice rack in Fusion 360 and print it as well. We're definitely going to print this when we're done because this isn't just a mental exercise. This is actually something I want. So let's jump right in. Here's what we had left over from last time. This is the first tier of our spice rack. The holes are the right size. The spacing is enough to make me happy. I'm just going to tip them out with the top, well, my finger on the top so I can grab it and lift them out so I don't need them spaced far apart. So there's a number of different ways I could go up to my second tier, but I'm going to do it the easiest way since I kind of do consider this a beginner's type of thing. So let's click on create a sketch. I'm going to click on this top surface and let's move it over here where we can see it and let's get us some walls designed. Like I say, the easiest way is simple lines. So I'm going to hit L for line. I'm going to move my crosshairs down till it locks into this front line, and then I'm just making sure that I'm at a 90, and you can see the degree to the left. I'm just going to arbitrarily click. I don't want to lock this in anywhere yet. So click and hit escape to get rid of the line tool. Let's dimension it. D for dimension. Click your line, click the outer edge, and come up and click and type in 3. And our dimension tool is still active, so I want to dimension the end of this line. So click the end of the line, click the back edge, come out here, click and type in 3 again. Now we're going to do the exact same thing over on the other side. L for line, lock in down here, move up, make sure it's 90. Oops, that wasn't 90, was it? Let's Control Z out of that. Control Z again, L for line, here, and escape, and D for dimension, line and edge, click and 3, enter, and the end of our line and our back edge, and 3 again, and enter. Okay, now I want to escape to get rid of my dimension tool. Now I want another line. Now I don't need to dimension this line. I'm just going to lock into my endpoints here, go across, and here. We're 207 millimeters, which is what we want, and we are at a 90. We're at a 180, and click and escape to get rid of the line tool. Now I'm going to hit E to extrude. We want to click this, what will be the surfaces of what we just drew, and we want to extend. Whoops, I goofed that up, didn't I? How did I do that? Here we go, and extrude up. Now, how high do we want it? I don't really know exactly. I'm going to throw a wild ass guess out and say 200 millimeters. I think that should probably be okay. Our spice bottles are 105 millimeters tall, and I don't need it to extend all the way up to the top of the upper bottles. So there we have our walls. Now we need our base for our second tier. So this is real easy at this point. Click create a sketch, click that back wall. We want a 2-point rectangle. So sketch, rectangle, a 2-point rectangle. I also just could hit R on the keyboard, but honestly sometimes I forget whether R does center rectangle or 2-point rectangle, so I usually come up and get the menu. 2-point rectangle. Right now we don't care where we draw it. Draw it out, lock into both inner lines, and you notice that it wants to dimension the top, but I don't want to dimension the top, so I'm going to hit tab to dimension the thickness. I know I want 15, and enter. Okay, there we have it. Now, a couple tricky points here. Not really, but I can still move this around. I am going to dimension this now, but I have a feeling I'm going to come back and change it later. In fact, I know I'm going to. So, you know what? Let's not even bother dimensioning it right now. Let's just leave it about there. Let's hit E to extrude. Let's click on it. You know what? Instead of extruding a distance this time, let's come over here to our toolbox and change distance to object, and let's use this edge of our side wall, this forward-facing edge, as what we want to extrude that to. And click OK or hit enter. And there's our second tier. What should we do next? Let's go ahead and throw our holes in it next. So create a sketch. We're going to create on this surface. Let's come in until we can see it better. We're going to hit C. C is a center diameter circle. We don't need to be exact. Don't lock it in anywhere because we are going to dimension it. And we want this to be 48 millimeters. Enter and enter. And D for dimension tool. We want to dimension the circle to this inside edge here. And we know we want that to be the radius of the circle plus the wall thickness. So we want it to be 27. I got pretty close, didn't I? 27 and hit enter. And we want to do it again. So we're going to click our circle. And now we're going to click we could use our back wall or our front wall, doesn't really matter. And we want 27 again. And enter. Okay. Hit escape to get rid of the dimension tool. Hit E to extrude. Click on that hole. And we know we want to come down 12 millimeters. 12. Up, nope, we want minus 12, not added 12, minus 12 millimeters, and enter. Now let's pattern that hole across. So we are going to come and say, create a pattern on a path. It pops up over here and it says pattern type features. By default, it normally comes up faces. The reason it's coming up features for me now is because this is about the third take of this video where I've fouled the first three up. So it was already set the features, so we want features. And then it's asking us to select an object or a feature. And that's the extrusion for this hole we just did. And that's right down here in our history. It's the very last thing we did. Click it. Path. So click select. So tell it we want to pick a path. I'm going to pick this path. When I did the bottom one, when there were no sidewalls, it gave me an error. Let's see what it does now. It gave me an error again. Okay, drag it out. We drag it out because until we drag it out, this quantity entry over here won't be there. So now we want to change it to 4. And I want to change my distance type from extent to spacing. I could use extent, the number's not hard to figure out, but I use spacing below and I already know what the number is, so let's use it. And I know that number is the diameter of my circle plus my wall thickness. So I know that's 48 plus 3, so it's 51. And click OK or hit enter. And there we have it. Now we have our upper tier with the holes. This here is not printable. Since we're building for a 3D printer, designing for a 3D printer, we need to make this printable. Now, we could tell Cura to make overhangs printable, and that might work fine, and then again, sometimes it doesn't. We could also print this thing on its side. If we print it on its side or its back, then we're going to have support in these holes, and I have tried that. It sucks. It does not work well at all. It is very hard to get out. That leaves a horrible surface. So let's make this overhang here printable. So what we want to do is we want to click on modify and chamfer, and I'm going to click this bottom line, and I'm just going to pull it out a little bit. If I pull it out too far, I get an error message, but it goes away as soon as you put it back. Now again, over here in our toolbox, our chamfer toolbox, we want chamfer type to be set at distance and angle. It defaults to equal distance, and that's not going to work for us because it will be 45 degrees, and we don't want 45 because it makes it taller than it needs to be. So distance and angle. I know I want my angle to be 60 because I know I can reliably print. All my printers will reliably print at 60 degrees. They start failing up around 65 to 67, but I know 60 is good. So my distance now, if I come in at set to 30 millimeters, you'll notice that I still have a little unprintable area up in here. I want to get rid of that. So we're set at 30. Let's try 32. I got my error message back, so it's too much. Let's try 31. And did I get rid of all the unprintable area? Oh my gosh, there's a tiny little bit there left. Let's try 31.5, and let's see what that does for me. 31.5 gives me my error back. How about 31.2? That's the error. Oh my gosh, 31.1, really? 31.1, I got an extra space in there. No, I don't. 31.1, there's still a tiny little bit. Let's try 31.2. That's my error message, 31. You know what? I think I'm going to just make it, I think it'll print fine at 31. Um, I'm just going to say okay, and we'll figure out what it does. I think that'll print fine. That's a tiny little area. I don't think that's going to be a problem. If it is, I'll eat my words, but I don't think so. So before we go, let's look at now this dimension that I left undimensioned. I need, my spice bottles are 105 millimeters high. So I need 105 millimeters plus a few extra just to be on the safe side from the bottom of my hole to this line here where my chamfer starts. So let's hit I on the keyboard and let's see what this dimension is. I'm going to click this line. I'm going to click this line. That is 81. There's some other numbers in it, but let's call it 81 for now. Plus 12, 81, 91, 93. That is not enough. I need to move that 93, 103, 113. I need to move that up 113. I need to move that up 15 millimeters. So get rid of our measuring tool and let's come back to that sketch. And that is this sketch down here in the timeline. Notice when you put your pointer over the timeline, it tries to tell you what element that was. So I'm going to right click on there and I'm going to say edit sketch, and now I'm going to dimension this. So I'm going to click D for dimension. I'm going to click on this line and this line, and right now it's set to 112. 112 plus 12 is 124. I'm going to ignore that number out after the decimal place. 124, 112, 124, 134, 139. I'm going to call it 140. I like even numbers. And this is all just playing it by ear. 140, enter. Now let's stop sketch. Now let's take that measurement again. I for measuring tool, this line and this line. Now I have 109 millimeters. That's too much. 109 millimeters plus 12 is 119. That's 122. That's way more than what I need. 122, 122. Whoops, my pen doesn't work. 122, 105. That gives me 105, 115. That gives me 17 millimeters more than what I need. So I don't know how I goofed that up, but let's go back and fix it. Close, and let's come back to that sketch and edit sketch and 140. Let's change this number to, I said 17 too much. I forgot what it was now. 140. Okay, let's make it 140. Let's make it 125. Let's see. Sometimes this is just feel. Play it by ear. Stop sketch. I for measuring tool there and there. And now I have 94 and 12. 94, 104, 106. Boy, that's awful close, but I am going to be 3 millimeters out from the back wall. So, you know what? I'm just to be on the safe side, I'm going to add a couple millimeters back into it again. So right click, edit sketch, 125. I'm going to call it 128, 28. Enter, stop sketch. I don't mind a few millimeters too much, but I would mind if a few millimeters not enough. I to measure, click there, click there. My father, who is a mathematician, is rolling over in his grave. 97, 107, 108, 109. That makes me very happy. I like 109. So we're going to stop here for today. We're going to come back next time and finish it up. We're going to round all the corners off, maybe write something on it just for fun, and put some reinforced screw holes in it. And maybe we might go over to Mesh Mixer and make a section of it just to print, just to make sure our overhang and our sizes and everything works right. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for coming by. If you like this video, if I helped you out, please like and subscribe. I have some GearBest affiliate links. If you're looking for anything from GearBest, please consider using them. They really do help me out quite a bit. And it has been dead this year. Holy cow. GearBest is all over me about that. Anyway, thanks for coming by, and I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.